as you can see, it's 11:35 p.m. as I'm doing this. I should be in bed getting my rest. I honestly just want to answer this nuts questions, give him his 5, and get this debate over with. The man I'm debating, ladies and gentlemen, is insane. He just got his tail kicked in the whole argument about the Moses being resurrected before Jesus was, so he is now running for cover under the notion of the transfiguration just being a vision instead, which he said it wasn't originally. He's running around with his 3 personas. He's talking to himself. I am so done with this debate. Acts 2:34. Even though I already put it in context, I will do it again, Daniel. This can't be about David's body. This has to be about David's soul. I'm not saying David's body didn't ascend into heaven. What I'm saying is Peter is saying that David, the person, did not ascend into heaven. Look at the previous couple verses context. David said this about him. I saw the Lord always before me. He's at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, my tongue rejoices. My body also will rest in hope. Because you will not abandon me in the realm of the dead, you do not let your Holy One see decay. And then Peter says, I can tell you confidently that the patriarch David died and was buried, and his tomb is still here today. In other words, David is dead and buried in the city of Jerusalem. And the previous psalm, he was not writing about himself. He was writing about the Messiah. David is dead and buried. David did not ascend into heaven. In other words, David did not rise from the dead and ascend into heaven. That's all that Peter's saying, Daniel. He's not talking about, his soul not ascending into heaven. Moving on. Matthew 13. What's the meaning of the parable where the wheat and the tares? Let me bring it up. Come on. What he's talking about is the wheat being resurrected for their ultimate reward on earth in paradise, and the tares being bundled up and thrown in the fire. That is the lake of fire, where according to Revelation, I believe it's 2015, they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Here we go. At the time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. He's talking about the lake of fire. He's talking about Gehenna. He's talking about the fire, be it figurative or literal, of hell. I will also point out, isn't it interesting that, it's somewhere right around here. Oh, yes, here it is. As for the weeds that are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is indicative that this is conscious torment here. Weeping and gnashing of teeth. You do not weep and gnash your teeth when you've been exterminated. That's why you're trying to make Jesus's parables stand up and walk on all fours. He was saying, burn in the fire. He's not trying to say that they're going to be burned up and cease to exist. He's saying they will be subject to the fire of judgment in Gehenna, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Moving on, you're hooting and hollering about, if somebody, the sleep thing being unconscious, so people who are referred to as sleeping in the Bible who are dead, doesn't that mean they're unconscious? Sleep is a metaphor for death. You are in the same position when you are dead as when you sleep. It is phenomenological language. That's all it is. You are lying down in the anticipation of getting up again when you are sleeping. Same thing with when you are dead. You are lying down, anticipating getting up again, awaiting a resurrection. You are reading far too much into this sleeping thing about the state of people sleeping being unconscious and not with it. What is the point of the resurrection if we're in heaven? The point of the resurrection is once Christ finally returns, he will reunite the souls, the spirits of people to their immortal bodies. Heaven is like acquiring a swanky condo, knowing that sometime in the future you will be inheriting a opulent, gorgeous mansion. Heaven's the mansion. Or excuse me, the resurrection in our body and the paradise that we inherit, that's the mansion. Heaven's a swanky condo. That's really all there is to it. We are body, spirit unities. And in the resurrection, that is when we will be reunited with our bodies and immortalized. I don't even know where you're going with Genesis 3, 4, and 5. I have no idea what you're trying to say. Who lied, the devil or God? The devil said, "You will surely die." I don't even. What are you trying to say? The warning from God was, if you eat of the fruit, you will surely die. I believe the Hebrew is dying, you shall die. Death began to enter into Adam and Eve's bodies. They disobeyed God. And slowly but surely, their bodies began to die. Were able to die after they ate the fruit. I have no idea where you're going where the devil says you will surely not die. What does that have to do with the dead being conscious or unconscious? What is that? What is, I don't know. Whatever. Okay. My questions for you is, okay, why do you believe that Hades, that souls are unconscious in Hades and unaware of what's going on when Jesus taught that people's souls are in torment in Hades? Why did Jesus teach that people, even in this parable, why did he tell a lie to teach the truth? That's my first question. Why don't you have the same view of Hades that Jesus had? Question number 2. Revelation chapter 14. Um, 14:9. Where do you get extinctionism and annihilationism from? How do you get that out of this verse? Anyone worships the beast and its image and receives its mark on their forehead or on their hand, they too will drink of the wine of God's fury, which has been poured out full strength into the cup of his wrath. They will be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever. There will be no rest, day or night, for those who worship the beast and its image, or for anyone who receives the mark of its name. No rest, day and night, smoke of torment ascending forever and ever. Where do you get insensible non-existence from that verse? My next question is, since apparently this notion of an immortal spirit is horrible heresy, and, believing it will, damn your soul, why is it, well, let me see, if that is the case, and since this was believed from, at the very least, the very end of the apostolic age on, as I was demonstrating, 95 AD, it was believed in Corinth and Rome. 106 AD, the Bishop of Antioch was talking about it. 130 AD, a man from the church that John the Apostle died at just 30 years previous was talking about it. And it just kept marching forward, and the earliest person you were able to name was William Tyndale, who believed in soul sleep. So, if this really was such a horrible heresy, and a real Christian shouldn't believe this, and obviously this is enough to damn a soul, was your God unable to stop it from spreading, or did he just not care about the souls that suffered damnation believing it over century after century? Fourth question, as I just said, this doctrine was believed in 4 apostolically throned churches within 1 generation of the presiding apostle dying there. So within about 40 years, in Ephesus, in Corinth, in Rome, and in Antioch, it was believed that people, their spirits would go on to be with God and be conscious and in bliss, or on the flip side, in agony if they were not justified. How do you suppose that this doctrine found its way into not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 apostolically throned churches? How is it that 4 churches went from believing that, we just go into a state of unconsciousness when we die, and all 4 of them believed, and there was no controversy, there was no schism, there was no faction saying, hey, no, this is a bunch of junk, don't be teaching that our spirits are conscious after we die, don't be teaching that. In all 4 churches, no controversy, no schism. Within 1 generation, everybody just believed that we go on to be with God when we die and we're conscious. How did that come about in all 4 of those churches? Last but not least, you seem to hoot and holler, and I don't think you're entirely concerned about this, but I seem to be talking about, believing that the spirit survives death. That means Jesus' spirit survived death, so that's like a form of docetism. Can I ask you this? If Ignatius of Antioch was here today, let me bring up his letter to the Smyrnans. Let me bring it up here. Hang on. This thing's a little slow. Okay, here he is. Good. Okay. So you're saying this is like a form of docetism? Here's Ignatius rebutting docetism. He suffered all these things for our sake, that we might be saved. And he suffered truly, even as he truly raised himself up. Not as certain unbelievers maintain that he only seemed to suffer. They themselves only seem to be Christians. As they believe, so it shall happen unto them. Um, Ignatius is strongly putting he truly suffered, he truly died, and he truly raised himself from the dead. Would you tell Ignatius of Antioch that he who was one of the biggest fighters against Docetism, that he was somehow infected by Docetism by believing that Jesus was spiritually alive and able to raise himself from the dead? That's all. Answer the questions and let me wrap this debate up. Thank you.